Hey, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining me. It's Monday at noon, well, a little bit before noon, but we are going to be doing a Freight Broker Bootcamp Live. Today is kind of a special edition. We're doing something a little bit different today. I'm kind of categorizing this as an Ask Me Anything Freight Broker Sales Q&A. So you, the audience, get to ask me any questions you want about freight broker sales, okay? About getting customers and freight broker sales. So that's what we're going to talk about today. But thank you so much for everybody who joined a little bit early. We are going to be doing a couple of quick giveaways. Sorry, I'm a minute or two late. I had a couple of technical difficulties just trying to get this camera to sync right. And the lighting is still jacked up, but we're going to roll with it. And I look super white right now, but yeah, so it is what it is. Let's see if we can calm this down a little bit. Maybe that'll help. That helps a little bit. Okay, great. So thank you for joining me. Again, we are going to be doing a live. Here's the agenda. We're going to do a giveaway, okay? And then we're going to do an entire session that is dedicated to you guys and what I'm calling, again, this Ask Me Anything session, where you can ask me any questions you want about how to get customers, freight broker sales, modern freight broker or modern sales strategies, tactics, systems, tools. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So I hope you guys are ready. Let's do a super quick giveaway. And then let's see here. All right, that's a little too dark. So there we are. All right, cool. So let's do a super quick giveaway. Who wants a chance to win? Let's do this. We're going to break it up a little bit. Who wants a chance to win? We've got a few people live. We don't have that many people live. Who wants a chance to win a t-shirt? Freightpreneur t-shirt. All right, so here's all you got to do. If you want a chance to win one of these Freightpreneur t-shirts as someone who solves problems you don't know you have in ways you can't understand, here's all you got to do. What I want you to do is I want you to open up your iPhone, okay? Open up your iPhone or your Android phone. I don't care which one. Open up your mobile phone, your smartphone, and go to either, if you're on Apple, go to your Apple podcast app and search for Freight Broker Bootcamp. You're going to see my podcast. We've been ranked in the top 100 as one of the top 100 entrepreneur podcasts on Apple. Go to the Freight Broker Bootcamp page. And what I want you to do is subscribe and then write a quick review. All you got to do is hit the subscribe button or the follow button and then write a quick review. It's a 1 to 5 review. This will take you 1 minute. Okay. We're not going to have a chance to do multiple giveaways, but if you want a chance to win the Freightpreneur t-shirt, here's all you got to do. If you're on Apple, go to the Apple podcast app, subscribe, rate, and review. And then if you are on Spotify, okay, if you're using Spotify or using Google Podcast, all you got to do is subscribe to the podcast. And on Spotify, you can rate it, but it won't let you write a review. So what I want you to do is do that and then come back in here into the comments and let me know what you guys did. Let me know, hey, I subscribed on Apple and I rated and reviewed, or I subscribed on Spotify and I rated, or I subscribed on Google. Okay, let me know what you did, and that's going to qualify you for a chance to win the shirt. Okay, I'm going to give away one of these shirts. Now, this is US-based only. I don't ship these overseas. I've said that before, but it's worth mentioning. Again, this is going to be US-based only. And then after the giveaway, hopefully we won't be backed up too much in time, but we are going to do the live Q&A. This is going to be an Ask Me Anything session dedicated specifically to freight broker sales. That's the topic that we want to talk about today. So if you need help getting shippers, or you have concerns, or you have fear of sales, or you don't know how to do sales, or you're just getting started, this is perfect for you. If you're already a freight broker and you're doing okay, but you'd like to grow the business a little bit, you'd like to really ramp it up, you definitely have some questions you can ask during this Q&A. Okay. All right. So hit me up in the comments once you guys let me know that you subscribed and where you subscribed. Okay, perfect, Brett. You let me know on Apple and reviewed. Perfect. All right, that's awesome. That's all I'm looking for, guys. Subscribe on Apple, subscribe on Spotify, subscribe on Google. Those are the 3 primary channels where most people listen to their podcasts. And if you do that, whoa, my table just moved. You're going to get a chance to win the Freightpreneur t-shirt. I give these shirts away all the time. Sometimes I give away cash. Sometimes I give away shirts. But today I'm giving away a shirt. So let me know who else is going to subscribe. Facebook user, you have to give me the ability to view if you don't give Facebook the ability to view your name and your picture, which is what it says when you logged into the live. I can't help you, right? Because right now it just says Facebook user. Someone says Apple. And again, you still didn't follow instructions. Subscribed on Apple, rated, reviewed. You have to do those things. Otherwise you don't qualify. Okay. All right. Am Phillips. Perfect. Spotify subscribed and rated. Awesome. All right. So, and hold your questions. Anybody who has questions, hold your questions for the Q&A. Right now is just the giveaway, okay? All right, so we're going to give it another minute or so. I'm going to grab a quick drink, and then we're going to do the giveaway. And I've also got a big announcement, something I've been talking about a little bit. For some of you, you may not be aware of what's happening this week. Big wink. But this is a big week for Freight Broker Bootcamp, a big week for all of the community, and I'm really excited. So I'm going to share some more information about that, maybe towards maybe in a little bit. So let's get this giveaway done. We're going to give away the free shirt, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so we got some people that have subscribed. We're going to give it one more minute, and then we're going to do the giveaway, and then we're going to jump into the Ask Me Anything Freight Broker Sales Q&A. Okay, this session is dedicated exclusively to you, right? If you have questions about freight broker sales, or you have questions about how to get shippers, you have questions about any of that, anything related to that, this is the session for you. Now, I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of questions. So here's what I can't promise. I can't promise I'm going to be able to get to everybody's question. There's a certain amount of time allotted, right? I can't spend 2 or 3 hours here today. Typically, these sessions last anywhere between, 35 minutes and an hour, depending upon how many questions we have. Okay. So I'm going to try to get to as many as I can. And if I don't get to your question, I truly thank you for being here. I will try to come back into the comments and answer them later in the week. And if I don't do that, come back next week and I promise I'll try to answer your question. Okay. All right. So let's do the giveaway. All I'm doing here is very simple. I have a very non-technical way of doing the giveaway. I see everybody's comments here that has subscribed and followed instructions. And all I do is literally close my eyes. I scroll the mouse down through there, and wherever I land, that is the winner. And the winner is Am Phillips. Am Phillips followed directions to a T. Perfect, Am. Subscribed on Spotify, gave a 5-star subscribing and rating. Thank you so much, Am. You are the winner of the Freightpreneur t-shirt. Here's all you have to do to claim your prize. It's very, very simple. Go to the Freight Broker Bootcamp Facebook page. You got to go on Facebook, search Freight Broker Bootcamp. You'll find the page, okay? Like the page, and then message me with your full name, your mailing address, your size, okay? And let me know that you, on today's date, you won the podcast subscribe t-shirt giveaway. Okay. Let me know that you won the podcast subscribe t-shirt giveaway, and I will mail out this t-shirt. You'll get a t-shirt. It usually takes a couple weeks to get it processed and printed and mailed and all that, but you'll get it in the next week to 2 weeks. And I thank you so much for playing along. Everybody who's subscribed, everybody who's listening to the podcast, listen, you can't go wrong. Even if you didn't win the prize today, maybe next week, but ultimately you won because Freight Broker Bootcamp audio experience, okay, which is the name of the podcast, is the best of the best of the best training that I do, but it's all in audio format. I love using podcasts. I love listening and learning on podcasts. I hope you guys do too. I launched the podcast a few months ago and things have been going phenomenal. It's growing like crazy. We've got amazing rating and reviews. And I'm just glad that we're able to put that content out in that format for you, because people have been asking me for years, hey, can you just give me an audio only? I drive truck. Or, hey, can you give me an audio only? I like to listen when I'm in bed or when I'm working out. So here it is, guys. This is the best of the best audio content that you can get in the freight broker training realm. Okay. So where are we at? All right. So we got about a minute or two before we jump into the Q&A. And again, today is an Ask Me Anything session. Okay. And that means you have the ability to ask me any questions, but I want to focus in specifically on freight broker sales and I'm gonna explain to you the reason for that, but I do want to explain to you, I do want to focus in on freight broker sales because number one, that's the area where most people struggle, right? Getting your freight broker authority, setting up your home office, setting up your load boards and some of the technology, setting up your website and doing the fundamental startup stuff. It's just not that hard, right? It's fairly simple. Where most people struggle is getting shippers. And that really comes down to sales. There's a lot of misconceptions about how freight brokers get customers and who a freight broker's customer is. And so those are all open on the menu today, okay, for this live session. So again, thank you everybody for joining me. Hit me up in the comments real quick and let me know the city and state that you're logging in from. Sorry, I bumped the mic again. Let me know the city and state that you're logging in from. I'm in the Buffalo, New York area, Western New York, lifelong resident. For those of you that don't know me, and I'll try to give you some shout outs, hit me up in the comments with your city and state. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Dennis Brown. I've been an entrepreneur for over 25 years. I started a freight brokerage back in 2003, was very fortunate, grew that business to over $80 million a year in sales, sold it in 2016 after doing over $200 million as a freight broker. I'm also the owner of freightbrokerbootcamp.com. I started that over a decade ago. It's the most cost-effective and comprehensive online freight broker training program available today. If you guys are curious about getting started as a freight broker or freight agent, feel free to check that out. We've trained over 10,000 students in the last decade, and we offer a 60-day, 100% unconditional money-back guarantee. Nobody else does it, okay? I'm more than willing to put my money where my mouth is, and that's why we offer that 60-day unconditional money-back guarantee. If you're not happy for any reason, just let us know and we will gladly refund your money. We don't want your money unless you're 100% satisfied, okay? So, city and state, let's do some shout outs. All right, cool. What do we got? We got Joe Bradley from Atlanta, Georgia. We got KO Freight from Greensboro, North Carolina. We got M. Stedman from Bakersfield, California. Am Phillips, the big winner from Venus, Texas. We have a random Facebook user from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Again, if you don't authorize the system to see your name, I can't call out your name. Sharon from Miami, Florida. Skylar Trucking from Durham, North Carolina. Adalis Mendeber from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Beth from Duluth, Georgia. And, Duluth, Georgia. Robbie Johnson from Marion, Ohio. Alicia from Atlanta, Georgia. Sturgis Transportation from Decula, Georgia. Man, Georgia's in the house today. Fabio from Miami, Florida. Denise, thank you so much for reviewing the podcast. Emily from Hershey, PA. Derek from Little Rock. Siva from Detroit, Michigan. Tina Williams Freight Logistics from, thank you so much, Tina Williams. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Kimberly from Conyers, Georgia. Man, Georgia is in the house today. Normally it's Texas and Florida, but it's crazy. Nan Sai from Massachusetts. Tina Williams from Pompano, Florida. Karen Burnside from Greer, South Carolina. East Coast is killing it today. Here comes California. Rakesh from Fresno. Nelson from Florida. Noel from Orlando. Man, between Florida and Georgia today, you guys are like half the audience. You guys rock. That's amazing. I'm so happy that you're here. I will tell you that the areas that come the most, we have California, Texas, Florida, Georgia. Those are probably the biggest, right, by far of my audience, people that participate in these lives. So if you're there, awesome, join the crowd. If you're not there and you're somewhere else, hey, you're missing out. What are you doing? Are you crazy? All right, so thank you so much for the messages. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your time, because I know your time is precious. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to dive into this. All right. We got a bunch of people live. So today I'm just going to give you a quick summary of what's going to happen for those of you that are kind of joining me live or missed the intro here. Today, we're going to be doing what I'm calling an Ask Me Anything that's dedicated to you, but specifically what I want to focus in on today is freight broker sales. Okay, I want to focus in on freight broker sales because this week, drum roll please, okay? Drum roll please. This week, I want to focus in on freight broker sales because this week I am opening my freight broker sales accelerator program. Now, It's going to be Wednesday. Okay. This is the first time I'm letting you guys know this. On Wednesday, I'm going to be opening enrollment for my Freight Broker Sales Accelerator program. Now, for those of you that are on the wait list, fantastic. You're amazing. You're going to get notified and you're going to get a chance to enroll. Spots are going to be limited. So my suggestion is get enrolled quickly. If you're not on the wait list, you better get on the wait list because you're not going to get a chance to get in this program if you don't. Now, let me give you a super quick lowdown of what this is about. This is a 5-week freight broker sales coaching program. It's where I take this piece of my brain about freight broker sales and I transplant it into your head and I help you implement it into your business. Okay. I've launched this program 3 times. It's sold out every time within a few days. Okay. So that's what this is. I teach you my best freight broker sales strategies, tactics, and my entire system from A to Z. And then I help you implement that over a 5-week coaching program. Now, it is not a free program and it's not a cheap program, but it's worth 10 times what you're going to pay for it. Okay. Don't ask me what it's going to cost because I'll be honest with you, I haven't finalized the price yet. On Wednesday, you will get all that information. Okay. You're going to get all that information on Wednesday if you are on the wait list. But if you're not on the wait list, you have literally 0 chance to be a part of this program. Okay. So if you need help and you want me to coach you on how to get customers and how to navigate the freight broker sales world, right? The biggest and most challenging part for any freight broker or freight agent is the sales component. If you need or want help with that, you need to get on that wait list. And on Wednesday, I'm going to be releasing the news. You're going to get a text, okay? And that text is going to say, hey, listen, we're open, click here. And that's going to give you all the details and you're going to have to enroll. If you don't enroll, literally it's going to fill up. I have a feeling that this is going to sell out in 24 hours. I'm going to be limiting this to 100 spots, okay? I'm going to have 100 people in this program. I can't have 200 or 300 in the program because it's a coaching program and I just can't handle that many people, but I'm going to limit it to 100 people, okay? So get on the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator waitlist. I've been beating this drum for a while now because if you're not, you're just going to get left out in the cold, okay? All right, so let's jump into the Q&A. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. Again, today we are going to be doing what I'm calling an Ask Me Anything episode that's dedicated specifically to you. And the topic I want to talk about or hone in on today specifically is freight broker sales and how to get customers as a freight broker or freight agent. Okay. So I want to focus in on the sales component. This session is dedicated to you. I'm going to answer as many questions as I can in a fairly short period of time. And again, I will do my absolutely best to get to everybody. And if I don't, put your questions in the comments. And if I don't get to them today, I will try to come back in later this week and I will try to answer them in the thread. And if not, again, I do these lives every Monday at noon. Today is an Ask Me Anything Freight Broker Sales dedicated session that I hope you guys ask a lot of great questions. So if you guys are ready, let's hit the ground running and start asking some questions, and I will start answering. I will do my best to try to answer those questions. All right, so the questions are starting to flow in here. Let's see what we got. Shanna Allen asks, when building carriers, shippers, and your authority before landing your contracts, is it best to offer other services such as dispatching, branding as means to pay the bills? Okay. Shanna, I really can't help you from the perspective of dispatching. Okay. I don't teach dispatching. I don't promote dispatching. And I'll be extremely honest with you. I have a lot of questions about the legality of dispatching without a freight broker authority. If you do not have your freight broker authority and you're dispatching, there's a lot of questions out there in the community, including on the desk of the FMCSA, if it is unauthorized broker. So I can't really help you on the dispatching front. So here's what I can tell you. Part of the answer to your question was when building you do need to do all the things you talked about, building your carrier list, your shipper list, your authority, getting all those things done. Those are kind of some of the basic prerequisites of your early startup days as a freight broker, freight agent. But on the dispatching side, I really can't tell you much. I don't care how you make your money. I don't begrudge anybody how they make their money, but I can tell you this. Here's the analogy. If you were going to build a house, would you buy a piece of land that is in a swampy, wet area where you're not sure whether the foundation is going to hold and the house is going to sink? Or would you want to build your house on a very strong foundation, something that has no water, is up on a hill where all the water is going to run off, and you're not going to have any issues with that foundation? Which piece of land would you buy? The land in the swamp or the land that has hard ground up on a hill? Well, I would hope you would buy the land up on the hill that's on hard ground, on solid ground. And that's what I mean by the foundation of your business. If you build your business around dispatching, with all the questions out there, with all the legality, with all the gray area about unauthorized brokering, or is it legal or is it not legal, why would you build your business on unsolid ground, on swampy water, on wet area, on a marsh, right? You wouldn't. I wouldn't. So I hope you don't. But again, that's your choice. I don't begrudge you how you make your money. I never did dispatching. It's not what I do. Okay. So I hope that helps. Okay. Next question. Okay. So here's a question from Ann Phillips. After I get my authority, how do I start to actually begin working? I have an LLC and an EIN, accountant, and freight broker bootcamp training, and your podcast. Okay. So after you get your authority, what you're going to do is you're going to figure out your niche. What niche are you going to go into? You need to find your niche. Are you going to go into heavy haul? Are you going to go into produce? Are you going to get in the steel industry? There's a variety of different ways that you can identify your niche. I have an entire training on that on my YouTube channel. You can figure that out. Just go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/freight brokers, and then search my videos for niche, right? Freight broker niche, or finding your freight broker niche, and you'll see an entire training I did on that. After the niche, obviously, along the way, you're going to set up your home office. And then from there, after you've identified your niche, you're going to make a list of shippers that you're going to start to you're going to start reaching out to. You're going to start contacting. This is where the freight broker sales comes in. This is the reason why I'm doing this session, and the reason why I created the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator program. Okay. So, this is where you're going to start doing outreach. Most brokers do outreach over the phone, but there's an omni-channel approach, a multi-touch point channel approach, where I like to do outreach through phone, through email, through LinkedIn, through a variety of different channels. And what it does, that omni-channel approach allows me to increase my contacts and allows me to increase the likelihood of getting a hold of the shipper, number one, because getting a hold of the shippers is challenging in sales, right? Because they don't know who you are and you're cold calling them. And then from there, they're going to ask you, you're going to develop some rapport. You're going to do some rates. They're going to ask you to do some rate quotes. And then from there, they're going to accept your quote, or you're going to negotiate a rate. And eventually they're going to tender you a load. They're going to give you a load that's dedicated to you. Now, we're not talking about jump ball freight where they're going to go out and give it out to 10 other brokers and see who can get it, who can cover it. This is dedicated loads to you. You're going to cover the load. You're then going for less than the shipper's paying you. And then you are going to dispatch the load. You're going to make sure the load delivers on time in good condition with no problems. And then the carrier is going to bill and invoice you. And then you're going to bill and invoice the shipper. And then the shipper is going to pay you. And that's the cycle, right? That's your first load moved, right? From getting your authority all the way through. Okay. So that should give you a little bit of a synopsis on the next steps now that you have your authority, your LLC, and all that. Again, today I really want to focus in on the freight broker sales niche, right? About freight broker sales. So try to hone in on that, because again, we are going to be launching the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator this week on Wednesday. So I really want to focus in on sales. Do your best to hone your questions in and around that. Okay, so here's a question from Sturgis. How would you approach getting produce shippers, specifically watermelon shippers? Okay. I would approach produce shippers the same way as I would approach any shipper. Now, I know that seems weird, but there's a basic framework that will work for any customer in any niche. So the framework is this. Number one, you have to you have to be able to get their attention. If you can't get their attention, okay, you're going to struggle, right? If you can't get the prospect's attention, you're going to have a hard time. So the first thing you need to do is gather some sales intelligence about the industry, about the company itself, and about the prospect. So you need to gather some sales intelligence, gather some information, and then leverage that to create what I call a compelling sales hook, right? So let me give you an example of a sales hook. Let's say, for example, you're calling XYZ Produce, right? And they're based out of wherever. They're based out of California, say. And before you make the phone call, you look up their website and you see that they just acquired another produce company that's in Florida, right? You see a press release on their website that says they just acquired a company in the last few months, ABC Produce. So they just acquired that company. They bought that company. And so you use that information to create your compelling sales hook. So for example, when you do your outreach to your prospect, when you call them on the phone or you do it via email or LinkedIn, your sales hook is dedicated specifically to that sales intelligence. So you might say something to the effect when you get on the phone with them, "Hey, Joe, Dennis Brown with XYZ Logistics. Just wanted to reach out and congratulate you. I heard the great news. I read the article about you guys acquiring ABC Produce. Sounds like things are going really well. How you doing, right? Or how's things going?" And so now what's happened is, number one, you sound very different than every other freight broker that's calling them up, because every other freight broker is calling them up and just begging them for loads, or saying, "Hey, how can I get on your load list?" Or, "Hey, how do I get set up as a carrier?" Or, "Hey, can I quote some of your freight?" That's what everybody else is saying, but you're not saying that. So you're different. So you stand out, right? So that's an example of how to get their attention, right? So that's going to differentiate you. And then from there, right, you're going to go into your sales hook, and your sales hook is something to the effect, and again, I'm just making this up on the spot, is something to the effect of, "Hey, listen, well, I've worked with companies in the past in situations where they've acquired a new company, and I know that there are many challenges with companies merging and acquisition, particularly when it comes to logistics. How is that impacting you, and how has that impacted the overall business since the acquisition?" And then you zip your lip. So you're asking an interesting and compelling and relevant question. And then what he's going to say, or she's going to say, whoever that person is, they're going to say, "Well, it's been challenging because of ABC," or, "It really hasn't been too bad other than," or, "It's been pretty smooth sailing." And then you put your value proposal out there. "Well, here's what I'm proposing, Joe. I know that if you're not seeing challenges now, you will be in the near future, because it's just a foregone conclusion with the way capacity is today. What I'd like to do is I'd like to learn a little bit more about your business and see if we could dedicate some of our resources to helping you, through some of those challenges, particularly as it relates to your full truckload freight. Would you be open to a quick conversation about that?" What is he going to say? No? You just differentiated yourself from everybody else. Now, I just made this up completely on the fly. I've never had that conversation before. I've never written that script down before. That's something I just made up on the fly to give you an example of how to leverage sales intelligence, how to create a compelling sales hook, and how to create that into a value proposition for the prospect. Now, that will work in the produce industry or the steel industry or the heavy haul industry or the bottled beverage industry or the import export industry. I don't care what your niche is. That framework that I just shared with you will work if you follow that basic training. Now, this brings me back to the $64,000 question, and that is, are you on the wait list for the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator? If you're not on the wait list, this is the stuff that I go over, but in much more depth, right? We spend 5 weeks. I have an entire course, an online course that you will get. You get 24/7, 365 access that talks about the entire process, walks you through my entire system. And then for 5 weeks on top of that, I coach you answer all your questions, and help you implement that into your business in 5 weeks. That's what the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator program is. So it's opening Wednesday. Wednesday, what's the date on Wednesday? The 23rd, February 23rd, the course is going to open up. It's going to fill up very quick. I'm assuming it's probably going to sell out in 24 hours because there's only 100 spots and we've got a ton of people on the wait list. But if you want an opportunity to be a part of that program, and again, it's not a free program, it's not cheap, but it's worth 10 times whatever you pay for it, you got to get on the wait list. Okay. So, all right. So number one, I hope that answered your question. And number two, get on the wait list. You're crazy if you're not on the wait list. Okay, so here's a good question from Jay Garcia. New broker here. Welcome. How do I get shippers willing to work with a new broker? Okay, well, number one, don't sound like a new broker. I know that sounds strange, but don't sound like a new broker. You need to be educated. You need to be educated on the lingo. That's part of what Freight Broker Bootcamp does. That's part of what Freight Broker Sales Accelerator does. That's part of what doing your homework and your research and getting trained up front does. So you need to know the lingo related to freight, logistics, transportation. You need to talk freight broker. You need to talk shipping manager, logistics manager. You need to understand that lingo, okay? That's number one, so you don't sound like an amateur, okay? Or a newbie. Number two, you need to do your research. What I just answered in the last question. You need to do your research on your niche, whatever niche you're in. If you're in the produce niche, like the last guy asked me, okay, you need to do your industry research about that. You need to speak intelligently about that niche. Here's the thing, and I've said this before. The most successful salespeople in the world, in any industry, including logistics, are the most educated. The most educated, not formal education. This isn't about graduating from high school or college or getting your PhD. This is about self-education about your business. The most educated about the niche, the most educated about the prospect's company, and the most educated about the prospect themselves. Typically, the most educated salesperson is the person who is going to win the race statistically. All right. The example is you go in cold with no information on the niche, the company, or the prospect, and I go in fully armed, right? And we run a race. It's like you got one leg tied to you got your left leg tied to your right wrist, and you're trying to run against me, and I've got a pair of brand new Nikes on and nothing in my way. Who's going to win the race? Well, I'm going to win the race. That's the way it works. It's not about talent. This is what you guys don't understand. It's not about talent. That's another thing that I stress in my Freight Broker Sales Accelerator. It's not about talent. It's about having the right skills, the right tools, and the right system. That's why I put that entire program together. Okay. So I know I get a little bit worked up here. I'm going to take a quick drink so I can calm down. But that's what it's about. It's not talent. For those of you that don't know, I was the worst sales guy that anybody had ever hired in the history of the company that I worked my first sales job. I was still in college. I have no idea why they hired me. I have no idea why they didn't fire me day one. I sucked. I was terrible. I focused on developing the right skills. I focused and understood. I emulated other people that were successful before me. And then I developed a simple system on how to grow as a salesperson, how to get customers. And the next thing you knew, within about 6 months, I was one of the top salespeople in the company. That I parlayed into being an entrepreneur. And here I am 25 plus years later, 27 years later, whatever it is. And I've been very, very blessed. But sales, learning those skills and learning those strategies and learning those systems is really the secret, right? That's the secret. So I hope that helps. Okay, so Ozan Actus. How much money when you start the business must have to pay for website, database, broker software monthly before you go bankrupt? Okay, so here's what I'm going to suggest. Go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com/blog. I've got an entire article, an entire training, an entire video I did on this, okay? Go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com/blog, and then in the search bar on the blog, not in the Google search bar, there was a little search box there, type in freight broker cost or startup cost, and it'll pull up the entire blog post, which includes a very lengthy and very detailed information about how much it costs to get started as a freight broker. We put it into all these different buckets. We break down the cost if you want to become a freight broker or a freight agent. Rather than trying to regurgitate all that here, that's where I'm going to send you. freightbrokerbootcamp.com/blog. Do the search box for a startup cost, and you're going to find more information than you asked for, right? Be careful what you ask for. You might just get it. There's a lot of information there. Okay. So I think after that, you'll be fully educated. All right. Okay, so here's a question from Lavish Life of KKM. Can I hire an agent if I don't have any sales or customers yet? Well, if you are a licensed freight broker, okay, if you've already went through and got your authority, if you've done that process, you could hire an agent, okay? Now, the question you need to ask yourself is, why would an agent want to work for you if you don't have anything? If you don't have a business yet, if you don't have anything to really offer them, then why would they want to work for you if you don't have anything yet? You don't have any customers, you don't have any credit, you don't have any billing, set up, you don't have any carriers, you don't have anything, right? And I'm not being mean, I'm just being honest. I just want to be very honest with you about this, because I get this question a lot. A lot of people think that they can get their freight broker authority and then just go out and hire a bunch of agents and they're going to build the business for them. And that's just not going to be that's not the way it's going to work. If you want to build a real business as a freight broker, you are going to get your authority. You're going to figure out your niche. You're going to dig into that niche. You're going to start getting customers. You're going to start building your credit. You're going to start building your carrier database. You're going to start generating cash flow. And then from there, you can decide if you want to take the agent business model to grow or you want to take more the inside sales model to grow. Both work very effectively. I've done both of them, not only in freight brokerage, but in many other industries, okay, over the last 27 years. And so my suggestion to you is focus on touching first base. First base is getting your authority and getting set up. Second base is you getting your own customers and starting to generate cash flow and building a product that whether it be an employee and or an agent would want to be a part of. Okay. So I don't want you to put the cart before the horse. Okay. You could do that, when you're still standing at home plate, but my suggestion is take your time. Okay, so Anthony Tyler asks, when the time comes when a shipper requests the broker to have insurance, where and who can I go to for the policy? Okay, so number one, as a freight broker, you are not required to have any insurance. You're not required to have general liability. You're not required to have contingent cargo. You're not required to have any insurance. You have to have a surety bond to get your freight broker authority, but that's not insurance, okay? So what Anthony's referring to is if you run into a shipper, and you will from time to time, that will ask you or require you to be an approved broker to have what's called contingent cargo insurance. Now, this is secondary insurance that only kicks in after the carrier's primary cargo insurance, because the cargo that you move for your shippers on any carrier is going to be covered by the carrier's primary cargo insurance. So that's the reason why brokers don't need insurance, that's because the carriers have that. Now, there are some shippers that will require contingent cargo insurance. There are a variety of providers out there that you can use to get contingent cargo insurance. I don't even have them off the top of my head. But I know that all the members of Freight Broker Bootcamp, there was a post not long ago, all the paid members of Freight Broker Bootcamp, we have a paid members only Facebook group where they can all collaborate, come together, support each other, ask questions, share information, right? It's a private group. I started it last year. I think we have like 17 or 1,800 members in that group. And someone asked the question of, hey, where do I get my contingent cargo? And the group spit out like 5 or 10 different providers that they've used for contingent cargo. And so we have a resource for that where you can get companies that are doing that and are very cost effective. I just don't have them off the top of my mind. So if you're a member of Freight Broker Bootcamp and you have that question, go into the paid members Freight Broker Bootcamp Facebook group and do a search for contingent cargo, and you'll find a post. You'll find posts that come up where all the members have already shared a bunch of different companies. So what I've done is I've created a community of these paid members that are sharing their success, that are helping support other members, and a place where members can come in and ask questions of other members. Now, it's not where I provide my support. We have dedicated support outside of that, but it is another support mechanism if you are a member of Freight Broker Bootcamp, if you're a paid member of Freight Broker Bootcamp, okay? So I hope that helps. Okay, so Angelo asks, what's the most efficient way to build my book of business? The most efficient way to build your book of business. It's interesting how you phrased that question. What is the most efficient way to build your book of business? Well, I don't know you personally, Angelo. The most efficient way for me to build a business like that would be different than you because of my life experience. So assuming that you have no experience in logistics or transportation, okay, and that you're a true startup, the most efficient way to get customers the quickest is the phone, right? You got to pick up the phone. I'm analyzing this here in my brain. The fastest way you're going to get customers is to identify your niche, educate yourself, and start making contact with them over the phone. The phone is by far the most efficient tool in sales. Why? If you're doing outside sales, right? Let's say you're going out and you're visiting different industrial parks or manufacturing areas, and you're trying to walk in the front door or walk in the back door. That takes a lot of time, takes a lot of energy. If you do a great job, you might be able to walk into 5 or 10 different shippers in a day, maybe, right? But if you pick up the phone and you leverage the phone, you could literally talk to dozens of people with very little expense, with very little energy, just picking up the phone and understanding who your niche is, understanding the company, understanding a little bit about the prospect, creating a compelling sales hook, and then following my entire Freight Broker Sales Accelerator system, okay? And this is where I'm going to bring it back to that, because I want to remind you guys, if you are not a part of the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator, this next round closes out, I don't want to have a bunch of people, like every time I sell out, I always have a bunch of people coming to me and saying, hey, I didn't know about it. Can you let me in? And the answer is no. You weren't on the wait list. Get on the wait list. That's all I can tell you. Okay. I'm beating that drum because I know invariably I'm going to have 10 or 15 people that are going to come to me next week and say, oh, I heard about the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator. Can you let me in? No, I can't. I'm sorry. I have to limit this to the first 100 people that enroll. So if you get on the list, you'll get a chance to enroll. I'm opening it Wednesday. And again, that's where I take this piece of my brain and I transplant it into your head about freight broker sales. And I help you, whether you're a brand new freight broker, help you get through the hurdles of getting those first customers. Or if you're an established freight broker and you're looking to really scale, this is the type of system that not only will allow you to scale, but you could build an entire team around. Okay. You could teach them how to do this, and then you could really scale your business. Okay. So I hope that helps. All right. Okay, so Emily asks, I'm weeks away from starting to call shippers. Should I mention to potential shippers that I have access to trucks? I don't have assets. My husband has a truck. We are two separate businesses. Okay, so every shipper, all right, so you got to understand, almost every shipper that does particularly full truckload works with brokers. They may only work with a select number of brokers, but ultimately they work with brokers large and small. Okay. Almost everybody works with brokers to a certain extent, almost all shippers. So they understand what a freight broker does, right? They understand that a freight broker is a middleman. Okay. And so here's the thing. You don't need to educate them on what a freight broker does. But what I like about your question is you are trying to focus in on the value associated to, you're trying to focus in on the value that you can provide to the shipper. So I believe, yes, you, during the conversation, you should talk to them about the fact that you have access to some dedicated trucks. Now, here's the thing. You're not there to try to just sell your husband's trucking capacity. Okay. That's not what you're there for, right? That's as a broker, that's not going to scale very well. Now you could tell them that you have a carrier based business. You're also a carrier because you are, right? And that will help to maybe differentiate you a little bit. But I think that in the meantime, what you should be doing is you should be building up you should be doing due diligence on your niche so that you can identify using load boards and using different resources to identify who the carriers are. And you can start developing relationships with some of those carriers in advance. So imagine if you could go to the shipper and say, hey, listen, I know you're in the Buffalo, New York area. I'm specifically working with 7 different carriers that total about 80 different trucks in the Buffalo area that have trucks here regularly. Okay. And we've partnered, right? We've partnered up to try to help companies like you during this turbulent time, specific as it relates to COVID and the supply and demand, the load to truck ratio. I know it's challenging right now for shippers, particularly when it comes to the rising cost. So I've worked very closely with them, and I'm curious if we might be able to help, right? So that's how you might position something like that. So you see what I've done. Rather, I've tried to paint a picture on how I'm working with carriers that are going to be able to fill their need. Now, I've made calls to those carriers. I've done my research. We're not business partners, but we have a relationship, and I'm educated about what the carrier can do. They're educated about what I can do as a broker, and I have those relationships. But that takes a little bit of work, right? But it does differentiate you. So I've kind of taken your question and I've tried to bring it kind of to the next level of how I would leverage it. So I hope that makes sense. But I do like the idea, of focus. You need to focus in on that value proposition. What is the value that you can bring the customer, right? And you have to present this differently than everybody else. Ultimately, you're providing virtually the same service. You just need to package it differently. Do you see how I did that? You said, hey, I'm working with carriers, and I packaged it up in such a way that it created a compelling and interesting value proposition for the shipper. So I hope that helps. Jay Bradley says, how successful is sending blast emails to shippers to introduce your new freight broker business? It's not going to be very successful, in my opinion. So what you mean by blast emails is if you have an email list of 1,000 different shippers and you just blasted out a generic email to 1,000 different shippers, is that going to work? Now, you're able to touch a large number of people, but number one, when you spam people like that because they have not opted in to receive your email, it tends to piss people off. I know it pisses me off. It probably pisses you off when you get spam emails, right? So number one, you need to think about how many people you're going to be making mad versus how many people you're going to be making happy, right? So if you're doing just a big email blast to 1,000 different shippers and it's a generic email blast saying, hey, my name is, and whatever, it's probably not going to work real well. Now, you might get some companies that respond to that and say, hey, provide me a freight quote, or might ask you a question. So it could potentially work to get some freight quotes. But here's the thing, or to start a dialogue. But you got to think about all the people that you're potentially pissing off in the meantime, right? So if you're going to do something like that, you need to be very thoughtful. And what I mean by that is don't make it about you. Don't make that email about you. Make it about them. And so what I mean by that is you need to come up with a sales hook. I talked about this earlier when somebody had asked the question. You need to speak specific to their needs. Now, the hard part about doing that is you can't gather sales intelligence about that specific company and leverage that as a sales hook because you're going to have to send the same message out to 1,000 people if you're doing what's called an email blast, right? So the problem is you can't customize that email to fit everybody's needs. but you might be able to come up with a compelling sales hook that's relevant to the specific industry, right? So if you know a challenge in a specific industry, like just a hypothetical, right? Let's say, for example, the import export. You people that are exporters, right? Let's just say it's exporters, and you know a specific challenge, or let's say it's importers. You know a specific challenge related to the ports being backed up. And you can position your email as a solution to part of that problem of having all of those ships backed up and getting the freight off and getting it delivered on time. If you can position yourself in that problem, inside of that problem, offering some sort of a solution, you might get their attention, because that's an industry problem that every importer is having right now. Right now, that could be importers of bottled beverages, that could be importers of avocados, that could be importers of steel. Right. So ultimately, that's a niche that you might be able to create a compelling hook around. I'm not big on doing mass email blasts. I would prefer that you took all 1,000 of those and did your research and created a compelling sales hook that was relevant and specific to that company. Now, it's going to take you a lot longer, but your percentage of conversion is going to be much, much higher, and you're not going to piss anybody off, right? Because think if you get out of that 1,000, if you get 10 responses and you get lucky to convert one of them into a customer, okay, which would be very lucky. You've probably pissed off 900 people that didn't ask for your information and have probably now blocked you on email. Okay. So now it's going to be hard for you to call them up or send them another message or do any sort of follow-up, because of the fact that you made a big assumption that, number one, they wanted to hear from you, and number two, that they wanted to hear about you, right? And because you made it all about you. So make the email about them, customize it, gather your sales intelligence. Slower is better in this case if you really want to get customers. Customization and educating yourself highly about the niche, the industry, and the company and the prospect themselves is going to pay much bigger dividends. So I hope that helps. Okay, so what does the preparation for the first cold call to a shipper look like? I think I've answered the question. I've answered that question multiple times, right? You need to figure out your niche. You need to educate yourself on that niche. You need to educate yourself on that prospect company, and you need to educate yourself on that prospect. That's called gathering sales intelligence. Use that sales intelligence to create a compelling hook, a sales hook, and then do your outreach. Once you do the outreach, the hardest part of that is the first 5 to 15 seconds, which is getting their attention. And then from there, you need to use compelling questions and interesting and unique questions, power questions that help position you as an expert that's offering a unique solution to their problem versus sounding like every other broker that's begging for freight. Sorry to be so blunt, but be different, right? Different is better than better. So that's the basic process that you're going to go through in order to start your cold calling, start your outreach, and start getting shippers. Again, from there, it's going to filter into building rapport, and then you're going to get the opportunity to do some sort of freight quotes, and then you're going to negotiate rates, and then you're going to continue to sell, and then you're going to overcome some objections that they're going to have. And then if you jump through all those hurdles, then you will get an opportunity to move a load, right? Assuming that all the moons line up. And then from there, you got to move the load, pick it up, deliver it on time in good condition. And now you've got a customer. The cool part is that in this business, you don't need hundreds of customers in order to make a lot of money. I've interviewed some of my past students that only have 5 or 10 customers and are doing over 7 figures a year in sales and are making multi-$100,000 in profit in their pocket. Okay. I've got some students that have went on to do, like Yogi Goswami told me the other day, he did $7 million in sales last year. I've got other students that are doing over $1 million a month with a very small customer database, right? They've only got a small handful of customers, right? So you don't need thousands of customers in order to make money in this business. If you've got 5 or 10 customers that are doing consistent business with you, the lifetime value of those customers is insane. Okay. It's crazy. All right, so I'm scrolling through questions. Just give me a second. Okay, so here's a question from Robert. For someone with no prior experience, is it okay to start out as a broker agent just to gain some experience? And can I also be a broker, freight broker part-time? Okay. Yeah, it's totally okay to start as a freight broker agent. Matter of fact, if you don't have experience, right? Or you don't have the capital in order to just get your bond and your authority and the basic startup costs, start as a freight broker agent. The startup cost is next to nothing. You don't need a bond. You don't need your authority. You don't need a license. There's no exam. There's very little risk. And you can make a huge commission. I had it. My average agent the last year that I had my brokerage earned over $107,000 a year in commissions in their pocket. I had top agents that made over $100,000 a month as an agent. I tell everybody this all the time. If you can't make money as a freight agent, you're not going to make money as a freight broker. So yes, you can start out as a freight agent. You do not need to be a broker. Okay. And if you're looking for a job as an agent, you're looking for a partnership where you can work under a broker, just go to jobs.freightbrokerbootcamp.com. I put together an entire job board that's dedicated exclusively to helping, let's see, freight broker, where is it? Okay. Or just go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com/jobs. And it'll bring you to a job board that I created that's exclusively dedicated to freight brokers and freight agents. Okay. So it's the only one of its kind. I created that last year. We have thousands of people that hit that site all the time. We have people that are placing job ads. They're free job ads. If you're a broker, you can place a job ad. And if you're a freight agent looking to get hired, you can find all those jobs. You can apply for free and it's instant, right? So if you're looking to hire people as a broker, go to that freightbrokerbootcamp.com/jobs. If you're looking to get hired as a freight agent, go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com/jobs. Okay. It fills both of those equations for you. So hope that helps. Scrolling. Okay, so here's a question from Mikey Schmikey. What is the best way to get around the issue of having an N rating and getting carriers to move loads you've secured from shippers? Okay, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go to my YouTube channel. Hold on, go to my YouTube channel. I'm going to tell you right where to go here, okay? Hold on a minute. Boom, boom, boom. Go to youtube.com/freight brokers. That's my YouTube channel. Number one, subscribe and hit the bell to get notified. Number two, search my videos for how to build your credit fast as a freight broker. Okay. How to build your credit fast as a freight broker. I did an entire training with one of my students, Elio Longoria, who's I think he just hit his first $1 million in sales his first year. Okay. And how he was able to build his credit fast. He shares the entire system on how he went from an N rating to like a B rating on the load board so that carriers would move his loads. I don't even want to try to regurgitate what he put there. It's a step-by-step process. So again, go to youtube.com/freight brokers. That's my YouTube channel. For those of you that are subscribed, kudos. I think we have over 37,000 subscribers. Thank you so much. Subscribe. Hit the bell to get notified of future videos, and then search my channel for how to build your credit fast as a freight broker. You'll see the entire training I did with Elio, and he'll walk you through that whole process. Hope that helps. Okay, so here's a question from Mohammed Fall. Being brand new, how long would you say is a realistic expectation to move your first load? I started in January and I'm yet to acquire a shipper because 9 out of 10 times I cannot get a chance to speak with the person in charge. I gather sales intelligence, do quality research before every call, but I cannot put that into use if I cannot reach the logistics shipping manager. I feel stuck. Okay, so this is sales, right? Part of the biggest challenge about sales is getting people's attention. Right? Getting people's attention. So I'm happy to hear you're gathering sales intelligence. I'm not happy to hear that you haven't been able to get a shipper yet. But the answer to your question is this: it varies. You know, my first month as a broker, I think we moved our first load in the first week or two, maybe 2 weeks after starting sales. And then we moved to 12 loads. I think it was 12 loads that first month. And then the next month it was around 20, and then it kind of built from there. But everybody's different. Let me give you an example. Mike Burke, one of my past students who I interviewed, who's doing extremely well. Congrats, Mike. He went like 3 months without moving any freight. He moved no loads. He couldn't get anybody's attention. And then in the next 3 months, I think he did I forgot what it was. It was some crazy amount of business in the next 3 months. He made a ton of money. Oh, in the next 3 months, he made over $30,000 in profit. I think that's what it was, right? Forgive me if I'm misstating it, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was. First 3 months, zero. The next 3 months after that, he did over $30,000 in profit, right? So number one, what I'm trying to say to you is it varies from person to person. Don't give up, all right? Don't give up. What my suggestion to you is find out, if you're having a hard time getting people on the phone, right? Then chances are you're being screened, or you're calling the wrong person, or when you're on the phone with them, maybe you sound like a newbie, or you don't have some sort of compelling sales hook. It's hard for me to diagnose what's going on inside of your sales calls or where it's breaking down without being able to really coach you, right? Without really being able to talk to you about the process. That's the reason why I did the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator once again. Okay. It's the reason why I put all that together so that, when the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator, when we do the coaching, you're on a live call with me. We're talking to each other, right? And I'm asking you questions. You're to try to identify and analyze where you're breaking down, where the process is breaking down. And then I try to fill the gaps. And then you can take that and leverage that and put that to work, and then come back and give me feedback. And then we can adjust things further. That's what the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator is all about. It's very hard to answer that question for you right here. Okay. Because I'm not listening to your calls. I don't know what you're saying, and we don't really have an opportunity to talk, right? In this environment, it's just text, right? So it sounds like you're doing some of the right things. Again, I don't know how many people you're actually talking to. I don't know if you've done any freight quotes. I don't know how you're presenting yourself. Just because you're doing sales intelligence, are you actually creating a compelling sales hook, right? My gut tells me it's probably your hook, right? You don't have a proper sales hook. So that's my armchair quarterback version of it. But if you'd like me to help you further, just get on the wait list for the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator and respond when I open it up on Wednesday. I'm just scrolling here. Let me try to find a question that I haven't answered already. Kenneth, you got to work with support on that, okay? Work with support on that. I'm not going to be able to help you here, but just work with support on it, and then we'll try to get it sorted out. Tina Williams, Freight Logistics. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for the kind words. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Tina went through Freight Broker Boot Camp, and she also went through my Freight Broker Sales Accelerator, and that's what she has to say about about the programs. So thank you so much, Tina. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I'm humbled. Dick Burns, I doubt that. I couldn't sell heroin to a junkie in withdrawals. You could. Here's the thing, and I'm glad you brought this up. And it's kind of a weird segue, but here's the thing. Know something. Back in 1992, when I was a senior in college, I got my first sales job. I was broke. I had no money. I needed to pay my rent. And it was a place that was hiring real close to me. They put a job ad in the college paper. I responded to it. I got hired. I have no idea why they hired me. I was horrible. Number one, I'm very introverted. And back then I was even more introverted. I couldn't walk up and just talk to a random stranger. The thought of calling somebody on the phone gave me, anxiety. I was not this charismatic, ladies' man, right? It always came hard to me. I was very introverted, and I was the worst salesperson they had ever hired. I have no idea why they kept me. I was just there to try to collect a quick paycheck, to be honest with you, so I could pay my rent, and then I figured they'd fire me. But ultimately, I figured it out. And it's not about talent. It's about having the right skills and the right system. And when I put together the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator, that was the foundation of why I put it all together. I took myself back to those days when I didn't know anything about sales and I was scared to death. And I was in the same situation as you. I couldn't sell heroin to a junkie in withdrawals. And that's the foundation of how I built the program. Okay. That's why I launched it. I'd been asked to put this program together for 10 years and I hadn't put it together until last year. Okay. So I don't mean to beat this drum, but if you're going to be successful as a freight broker or as a freight agent, you're going to need to learn the fundamentals of how to sell. You're going to need to learn some basic sales skills, and you're going to need to learn a proven system for getting shippers and how to navigate the sales arena. Because if you don't, you're not going to build a business. It's just the way it is. You're going to need to learn that fundamental skill. Okay. I hate to break the news to you. It's not a get rich quick scheme. You need to develop your skills. The people with the most skills who invest in their skills are the people that have the biggest return on investment, right? Those are the people that rise to the top. That's just the way it is. Okay. So I challenge you. I bet you can. Number one, I bet you could sell heroin to a junkie because that's not real hard. But I'll bet you'd be shocked that you would be able to build a real brokerage and get shippers that are willing to pay you if you understand and have a winning system. Okay. So I hope that helps. Not only you, I hope it helps. I hope it helps others that are in the same situation. Because trust me, you brought that up and there's a lot of other people that feel that same way. Yes. Okay. So Byron asks, after completing the Sales Accelerator, are the materials that are covered available after the course is over? Yes. So number one, as a part of the program, you get my entire Freight Broker Sales Accelerator Masterclass, which is 5 modules, which is the entire training online. It's an online training. Okay. You get that entire training and you get 24/7, 365 access for that for life. Okay. So you get the training program. We also do a live weekly coaching call that is recorded and then sent to you where you get access to those live calls. So yes, not only that, you get all of the cheat sheets and the workbooks and all the downloads and the audios and the videos and the presentations. You get all that information built in and you get lifetime access to all of that. Okay? So yeah, good question. Thank you for asking. All right, what time is it real quick? Okay. Kurt Dog, bring it, brother. Wednesday's the day. Thank you, Beth. Glad you're enjoying the blogs. Well, Linnell, that's not how I respond to it. But if you want to know how long you should wait before you follow up the next time, why don't you ask them? I would probably ask the shipper. I'd say, listen, I know you're not bringing on new brokers right now. When would be a good time to follow up with you? Right? If they say next year, then you're probably going to follow up before that. But if they say, hey, call me back in a month or two, great. If they say, call me back in a week, great. If they say, don't ever call me back, well, then you've got to do one of two things. You either got to hang up the phone or you got to dig in and give them a reason to continue to talk to you. right? How I handle that when they say, hey, we're not bringing on any new brokers right now, my response to that is, great, I'm glad to hear it. And it kind of throws them off and they say, what do you mean? I say, well, I've heard that a bunch of times from my previous customers. You know how many times I've heard that? And now I do business with a lot of those customers. The reason why, you want to know why they do business with me? And they're going to answer they're going to say, yeah, why? And now all of a sudden they've opened the door and invited me to sell them, right? And now I use my compelling sales hook and I use questions and rapport building. And then I created a small opening in that door, and then I jam my foot through it, and then I jam my butt through it, and then I put my whole body through it, and eventually they become a customer. So I hope that helps. Bobby Jones, what type of contract agreement do you use for dedicated lanes with shippers? Honestly, contracts as a freight broker are pretty much useless when it comes to shippers, right? For dedicated lanes. Here's the thing, no shipper is going to guarantee you volume unless you meet a certain level of service. You're going to have a service level requirement, right? So you could put a contract together, a very loose contract together that's based on some sort of volume, based on some sort of dedicated lanes, based on some sort of a rate. But number one, having a contract rate in this market as a freight broker is insane. If you're a carrier, that's one thing, right? Because you can control your cost, right? And you understand what your cost is and it can ebb and flow. But as a broker, in a spot market where trucks are controlling the rate right now, okay, for you as a broker to do a dedicated contracted rate for a long-term contract on rates, whether that be a 6 months or 12-month type contract, it's going to be tough. It's going to be very tough. I'm not big on contracts, okay? And so, yeah, sorry about that. I got distracted there. Someone's at my front door, so the dogs are probably going to start barking any moment. But I'm not big on contracts or dedicated rates. I do more of a handshake and say, listen, you agree to this volume, I'll give you this rate. And based upon where the market is right now, I can guarantee this rate for a week or 2 weeks or a month or whatever you want to do. Most shippers would love to have a guaranteed contracted rate right now. But the problem is it just doesn't work that way. That's not the market right now. And that creates an incredible opportunity for you because, like I've said before, turbulent markets are great opportunities for you to get customers. Let's think about it. If the ocean is smooth sailing, right? If it's smooth sailing and there's no waves, why would they change? If they don't have any pain, why would they change? It's these types of disruptions and turbulent markets that create opportunities for new vendors to come in, for new brokers to get approved, for new brokers to break through, right? But right now, it's really all about the spot market. So I hope that helps. Justin asks, will paid members get a discount to the Accelerator sales program? No. You'll hear everything on Wednesday. Get on the wait list. You'll hear everything on Wednesday. I'm not big on discounts, okay? I'll be honest with you. When I price things, I do value pricing. Here's what I can tell you, Justin. If all you got out of this program, and this would be a total travesty if all you got out of this program was one shipper that's doing one load a week at an average of $200 a load. Okay. That's 52 weeks times $200 profit, right? 1,000 to the shipper, 800 to the carrier. You're making a $200 margin profit. If all you did was that, you'd make over $10,000 in year one from one shipper. Year one shipper. Now that's a small shipper doing one load a week. That's very small. What if you had a shipper that did one load a day? Or better yet, what if you were able to develop in the first 6 months 10 shippers that are all doing one load a week? What's the ROI on that? What's the value of that? And that's only year one. Now let's think about the lifetime value. How long are you going to have those customers? You're going to just have them for a month? No. You're going to just have them for a year? No. It's not uncommon to have customers for 3, 5, 10 years if you do a good job, right? So the lifetime value of this program is insane. I should be charging $10,000 for this program, but I'm not, okay? I'm not going to charge $10,000, but I should be. So get on the wait list, right? And this is where we're going to kind of close it out today. Get on the wait list. And on Wednesday morning, you are going to find out exactly what the program is, exactly what the program costs, and what steps you need to do in order to get enrolled. Now, some of you are going to sit on your hands and are not going to get enrolled because you're afraid. And I get it. That's okay. That's okay. And some of you are going to grab onto this opportunity and are going to let me help you, right? You're going to grab onto my coattails and I'm going to try to pull you, drag you all the way down to first base, which is help you get your first customers and start generating cash flow. And some of you are already established brokers that are kind of in a rut and haven't grown much and are looking to ramp it up. Maybe you did $500,000 or 600 or 700,000 in sales, or maybe even $1 million, but you really want to do what Yogi does and you want to get to 7 million. You know why Yogi got to 7 million? Because he has a sales system. He has a system for selling. He just doesn't randomly, pick up the phone and hope that he's going to get a customer. He has a system for selling. And it works for what he does. He's in the produce industry, did $7 million last year. Okay. So if you're already an established broker, but you're looking to grow, I can help, but you got to be a part of the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator. If you're brand new to the industry and you're just getting started, I can definitely help you fold time. I can save a lot of pain. I can save you a lot of time and help you go from startup to getting your first few shippers very quickly if you listen and implement what I teach. Okay. So I hope that helps. Thank you so much for being here. If you guys are curious about becoming a freight broker and you're just looking to get started, go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com. Trained over 10,000 students, been in business over a decade. We offer a 60-day, 100% unconditional money back guarantee if you're not happy. And again, for those of you that want to be a part of the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator, just go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com/waitlist and you can get on the wait list and you'll get notified when we do release the program. If you don't make it this time, maybe you'll hit it next time. Have an awesome day. Thank you so much. You guys had great questions today, and we'll see you next Monday at noon.